Hey guys, and welcome to Stand Up Retail. Today, our topic we're going to discuss is changing lanes and how to assess transferable skills. This episode, we're digging in on what transferable skills are, why transferable skills are important, and the importance to putting transferable skills to use. What do we mean by transferable skills and how do you identify them? First, let's start off with what is a transferable skill? So transferable skills are simply just portable skills. They're portable, they're movable. When you look at your job could end at any moment. You know, businesses go out of business or you are laid off or furloughed for any different reason. However, you may lose that job, but the skills that you have learned on that job or any past jobs, those skills belong to you. You take them wherever you go. So that's how you should look at transferable skills. They're able to go from industry to industry, from job to job, from a lateral move to a complete change in your career path. So I say, let's just get into it. How do you think? What do you think, Carrie?
No, I am excited. I think it's a very logical progression. And the way this month is structured, it really is going to take you through what we said at the beginning. How can you take back a little bit more control about where you're going in your current employment or where you want to go with your career, even if it means leaving that employer. You still need to understand this part of investing in yourself. So I'm really excited to get these examples out there and to get people really doing the work so they can go where they want to go.
Yeah. So let's jump into the very first one, self-assessment. Carrie, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Where do you start when you're self-assessing yourself?
I think you gave some really good examples at the beginning in the intro of really just kind of looking at what the job description is of the job you're in, because sometimes you just get into a routine and you call it one thing, but the whole industry might not call it that way. So job descriptions are a really good place to really start. But I generally will look at what I think I do really well or what people look to me as an expert in. I put that in one bucket. I put things I'm okay at, but I need to get better at. But I still know how to do. I'm just not an expert in it. I put those into a bucket. And then I put the stuff that I really don't like about my job, but I do anyway, in another bucket. That's how I do my personal self-assessment. Because I like to know my strengths, my weaknesses, and what I avoid, but also the things that I'm working on.
Right, which is great. It's very important that you do those things. I very similar to you. I like to take what I do best and focus on those things that I know that I'm really, really good at. And then one of the things that I think, and I believe we've had this conversation before, is that a lot of times we tend to avoid the things that we're not so good at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's human nature.
And I think when you're doing a self-assessment, it's very important that you look at those things that you may be weak in or things that, you're not so strong at, but you understand the process and how to do it. It's just, you're just not the best at it.
Yeah.
So I think when I'm self-assessing, it's really good to be able to understand both parts of that, the strengths and the weaknesses.
Yeah.
So does that make sense, Carrie?
No, it definitely does. I think being able to, as much as we live in a digital world, getting this stuff down on paper, or in a notes app or however you like to kind of organize yourself, even if it's in like a journal or a planner, being able to have this so you can refer back to it is really important, especially if you start looking at other options within your organization and understanding how you can quickly go back and look at those skills, look at what your passion is or what makes you a doer, and then look at what the requirements are in that new job space. you can quickly do that assessment, if you have it already written down. You can add or subtract or move some skills around.
So true.
And it really helps you with peace of mind. So I love assessing skills. I suggest people do it every few months, especially if they've learned new things.
Yeah. So then the next step, number 2, is asking a friend.
Phone a friend.
Phone a friend. Exactly. Phone a friend. It's a great way to make sure that you are not overlooking the skills that you may not see in yourself, or skills that you just may see as, that's just my job. How many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, I'm just doing my job"? You hear that a lot. But what you don't understand, that it takes a skill to do the job that you do. And that's a skill that you have now honed on, and it's now part of your skill set. And you assess how does that become transferable? Is it transferable, or does it fall in a category of skill sets? So a lot of times we sell ourselves short when it comes to transferable skills that you may have. So as Carrie said, phoning a friend, asking a coworker, or even asking a supervisor is a great way to get an outside objective on your skills. Because it's coming from a place of trust, which we talk about a lot.
We do talk about that. We do.
So an outside perspective, it gives you an idea of skills that you may not have thought of yourself, because you saw it as just a job.
Well, what's always interesting with this is, having been, an individual in the workspace and have done that. Yes, I have done that. I've done that often. I tend to talk a lot and I try to build really meaningful relationships, particularly with people who I see could be a really good mentor. So I ask for feedback a lot, and that really kind of helps shape my career path and my development goals for myself. But I've also been on the other side of that equation, and to quickly show the power of this number 2 is, I've had people walk into my office for a touch base or for a meeting, or to have a conversation with me that they don't want to have, because they're going to tell me that they don't know why they weren't considered for a step up, or and they really need help sometimes. Sometimes you need help really seeing what it is that you're good at.
It's really good when it comes from someone that you trust. I would talk to my supervisors and say, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I need to work on? Not necessarily when it was just looking for another job, but it was a constant conversation. I always kept that door open because it helped develop me.
Yeah, your supervisor wants you to be great at your job. You're in the job for a reason. So, being able to get over that initial worry and have the confidence to ask is something that you should be very confident in doing, because if it's to better you, your supervisor or your immediate, boss, or even if it's 2 people above, within your location, so they're familiar with you and your skills, it's a very worthy conversation to have. So, I say it's a very indispensable skill to be able to, be an advocate for yourself.
Interesting. Where have I heard that before?
Yeah.
Number 3 is job searches and job description buzzwords. So once you've done your assessment and you've asked some friends, and the important part is that you do a job search. Look for buzzwords, look for buzz phrases. The simplest example I could use is when you're looking in retailing, you look at a customer service rep. A customer service rep is someone who has many transferable skills, but may not realize it. Because when you look at a customer service rep, in retail, and then you look at a customer representative or a customer rep or a customer manager or a client manager in a bank or a financial scene, you don't realize that there's similar skills there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just called two different things.
Yeah, I think it's really important to do the work like you're suggesting, because different industries, if you're looking to change industry or switch lanes even in your current organization, different functions or different career paths within those functions use different terminology.
Exactly.
So you might see a term and think you can't do it because you don't really know what the definition of it is.
Right.
And you need to break that down further into the skills that go into it, so you can see, no, I actually can do it.
Exactly.
So, like one thing that's on every single sales job description, whether it's an associate or a manager or a director or a vice president, is drive results. This is my favorite skill that's on every single job description.
But you see it on every job description.
Every job description, you have to be able to drive results. Okay, you can't walk into a job description and say, I drive results. You have to say what you do to drive it. So what are the skills you employ? I achieve my goals. I participate. I'm highly engaged. I mean, there are lots of small skills that go into that big skill. So, doing the work and doing the research and checking out the buzzwords and really figuring out what they mean. Like my favorite one, which we're going to dig into later, or actually, I think we might have just dug into it. I'm forgetting at this point, being agile.
Yes.
Like, what
it's
the
so
heck
funny
is that?
that
like people might walk by.
Yeah,
people might keep scrolling because they think they don't have that. But guess what that means? That means just stepping up.
Yep.
Like, do you step up when your company needs it, or your organization, or your location, or your team, or your boss, or your coworker? Then you're agile. You can turn on a dime and do more things. So this is important work. This is how you can improve your workplace satisfaction and actually your goals as somebody who is gainfully employed. This is how you achieve your goals for yourself, for your family, for your future, for your retirement. So all very valuable stuff, Edward. I love this episode.
And our last and final step, number 4, is be able to give examples. Now that you've done your self-assessment, you've asked a friend, and you really dug down, done the research, looked at job searches, looked at job descriptions, figured out buzzwords and everything. Now you need to take all of that, put it together, and be able to give examples of your transferable skills. The important part to this one is very key when you're someone that's looking to either A, change a career path, or B, transition from a path that you may have been in that you may be in your current job, but changing to a whole different pipeline.
Yeah, it's being able to have examples. I would say if I were to take a stab in the dark and just come up with a random number, 100% of the job interviews I have been on in my life have included this question.
Give us an example, or tell us about a time.
Give us an example, tell us about a time, or even the more general, what makes you the right fit for this job? Exactly. And that really requires you to not say, trust me.
Right, exactly.
We talk a lot about trust, but this is one instance you should not just say, trust me. Right. I got this. But I think the most important thing is to be able to be honest about your abilities, because if you are confident enough to talk about what you do well and vulnerable enough to ask what you need to know to get better at, and you're able to give examples about how you fit into this potential new opportunity, and
Right.
how that makes you their only answer.
Mm-hmm.
That is a skill that is a lifelong skill. But going through these 4 steps before you walk into that interview, or before you walk in to sit down with your boss and say you want to be considered for a position, it will boost your confidence a millionfold.
It will.
And making sure you're comfortable with all of these steps.
Mm-hmm.
You can do the work and forget about it for 4 months and then say, oh, hey boss, I need a few minutes. I want to apply for this job. Yeah. If you haven't looked at it in a while, like, this is something that you should know, like how to, the stop you have to get off on the train so you don't miss getting home. Like, you should know this. This is you. This is work you. Yeah. And you should be able to articulate that. So I love this topic, Edward. I love it.
Great. So just a quick overview. If you want to access your transferable skills, remember these 4 simple topics that we discussed today. Be comfortable with assessing your own skill. Be vulnerable and ask someone. Research jobs descriptions, job buzzwords, job searches. And most importantly, practice giving examples of your transferable skills. Mm-hmm. So remember, you are your best marketing tool. I always say this, and no one other than self is responsible for your growth. So guys, this concludes our topic for now. However, our next episode will expand on these 4 key points that we discussed today. We're going to take these points and we're actually going to put them into action. As far as, how do you express intent? So what does it look like when you go to approach your supervisor when it comes to having that discussion? So that's what we're going to talk about in our next episode. So I'm looking forward to that. So this is Stand Up Retail. This is Carrie Edward here for you.
Like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell.
So just remember, as we always say, no matter what you are or what you're doing, be the best at it. And this is Stand Up Retail. See you next time.
Till next time.
Bye, guys.